People realize these things that I'm talking about at some point, and that's why, like, the quote unquote the immigrants, they come here and they want to come here because they're here for a better life. And at some point, the statement became binary because it could have been today, 2026. It could have been in 2012. It could have been even 2,000 years ago with the hijab and Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. But you know, um, fear is a motivator. Fear is a driver. And because people die in certain ways, like for example, like the railroad construction. Because people died there, um, and when they built the railroad, it's because people died. The whole thing has relevance. It has a purpose, a meaning, because the lives were expended to make these things, including human words, right? Even words, all these things required something be expended in order for it to exist. And it's the whole argument for capitalism and like um the ownership and the quality of things, right? When you have a bunch of people, the quality of things obviously goes down. And it's also like supply and demand. You have an excess supply, and if your demand is low or high, um the product is just what it is. It exists as it does. And all these things, safety, every day of your life was commodified. And until you get to like wherever you are today. And then it's not easy, it's not fair. The person like dies because they get squeezed, or they stop paying their bills and suddenly they have claustrophobia. Well, I've had that before because I never paid a bill. And the paranoia and the anxiety, it strikes you at once. You have a panic attack. um I don't know what to say. Like, uh and that's all we have left. It's the internet. You can wallow in your sadness and then just go on the internet and then try to solve it there. Any issue you have, you'd solve it there, because you wouldn't even want to go up to a person, because you don't like. It's these little things that occurred, could have been 1,000 years, 2,000 years ago, and they warp the person's mind and history to this level. And even like when I talk and my mannerisms, like, you could see the cowardice and weakness that came into creating video games, computer games, these internet predators. And I criticize my mom. I'd ask her, what happened in Kazakhstan that pushed you to move? And because it's better nowhere, right? And if she's running to like Dominican Republic or Cuba or Peru, she can do that. There's no issue, right? She has the right to make a choice. Everybody has the right to make a choice. But it's like, at some point, you want the intended effect, the intended interaction to occur. And granted, though, that intended interaction, the solicitation, the whole purpose of a system, and all this, the solicitation. And like, you can catch and release these people. And I'm sure even like people who do the essay crime, they don't get just a whole bunch of time. But again, it's like a psychological uh, thing where, like, it leaves a lot of black hole, like a black hole, and like a lot of like existential questioning. Why would these things occur? Why would that? It's just the same reason I would attend like scary story tours, or just haunted tour this, or haunted tour this, haunted tour that, or just like a museum tour, like a historical art gallery tour. And it's like, then again, the question revolves around, what's the point in having any of these things that the Western world offers per se, when, you know, everybody's criticizing the Western world and saying, oh, all these things are built on the back of people. And then you look at human history and look at words and how these things came about and just the amount of violence that there was. And you're asking yourself then, you know, who's keeping humanity in check? Where is the godlike authority? And everyone's waiting. They're waiting for that, waiting for the second coming of Christ, or, you know, Jews are waiting for the first coming of Christ. And then the rest is just history, right? And again, like the way the world is now, we see a binary result. We see how and why, you know, certain things are the way they are, permanently, like in stone. And I've talked about these things, and it doesn't change anything that I talk about it right now, on the channel. And you know, you know, human interactions change, right? Human interactions changed, you know, and again, the whole rabbit hole of like staying put. All you have to do is stay put. That's what the system desires, and that's what I'm gonna do, because it seems like the thing that my mom did, you know, like traveling around, like I get it, like she's interested in seeing the world, I'm interested in seeing the world, and maybe it's boring to sit there, but when you have to confront an issue between one person and another, you know, you need to be there to confront it. And I don't believe my mom is responsible for every issue in this country. No, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of other people who've also done things and said things out of impulse, and you know, the unfortunate result is, you know, is